My beloved, pause for a moment. Take a slow breath and let the noise around you become quiet. This message is not here to make you afraid, and it is not here to send you searching for an enemy. It has reached you for a different reason. Heaven wants to return something that pressure, disappointment, and confusion have been stealing from you for far too long. Your peace. Archangel Michael stands before you today, not pointing toward a stranger in the shadows, but toward a door you have left open in your own heart. It is the door of unlimited access, the place through which old pain, repeated disrespect, false guilt, and draining relationships keep entering your life. You have prayed for protection, yet part of that protection will come through the wisdom to close what God never asked you to keep open. Listen carefully. You are not being told to hate anyone. You are not being called to accuse, expose, or take revenge. You are being invited to recognize a pattern. There is a difference between loving someone and continuously allowing them to disturb your spirit. There is a difference between forgiveness and giving a person permission to repeat the same harm. And there is a difference between being kind and abandoning yourself to keep somebody else comfortable. Perhaps that truth already touches something inside you. Maybe a particular conversation, relationship, or memory has come to mind. Do not panic and do not rush to a conclusion. Simply pay attention. Discernment is usually quiet. It does not scream, create chaos, or demand an immediate reaction. It brings clarity. It allows you to look at what has repeatedly happened and finally admit what your exhausted heart has been trying not to see. Archangel Michael says, "My child, the next chapter cannot begin while the previous one still has unrestricted access to your peace. For a long time, you believed endurance was proof of love. You kept showing up. You explained yourself again and again. You gave another chance because you saw the good that person could become. You remembered their promises more clearly than their behavior. Whenever your heart warned you, you silenced it by saying, 'Maybe I am being too sensitive. Maybe I misunderstood. Maybe I should be more patient.' Your compassion is beautiful, but compassion without boundaries can become a cage. God did not give you a tender heart, so others could use it as a doorway into your life whenever they felt lonely, angry, or in need. Your kindness is sacred. Your time is sacred. Your trust is sacred. Sacred things are not offered without wisdom. If this message speaks to your season, write, 'God, restore my peace' in the comments. Let those words be a simple prayer, not a magical formula, but an honest decision that peace will no longer be treated as something disposable. There is something important you must understand. Not every closed door is a punishment. Sometimes a closed door is protection taking shape. Sometimes a conversation ends because you have learned all it can teach you. Sometimes a person drifts away because your spirit can no longer survive the confusion attached to their presence. And sometimes God allows silence because constant explanation has prevented you from hearing the truth. You may have been asking why certain connections suddenly feel heavy. You may notice that after speaking with someone, your energy disappears. You replay their words for hours. You feel guilty for needs that are reasonable. You prepare yourself before every conversation because you never know which version of them you will meet. One day, they celebrate you. The next day, they diminish you. One moment, they promise change. The next moment, they blame you for remembering what happened. My beloved, peace is also information. When a healthy person enters your life, You do not have to betray yourself to keep them. You can speak honestly without fearing punishment. You can say no without receiving days of silence. You can grow without being mocked. You can succeed without watching jealousy appear behind a forced smile. Real love does not demand that you become smaller, so another person can feel powerful. Archangel Michael is reminding you that protection does not always look like a sword of fire. Sometimes protection looks like a delayed reply. Sometimes it looks like declining an invitation. Sometimes it looks like refusing to explain the same boundary for the 10th time. Sometimes it looks like praying for someone from a distance instead of inviting them back into the room where they wounded you. This is the fresh understanding heaven is bringing. You do not need to identify a villain. You only need to identify what repeatedly steals your peace. Place your hand over your heart if you can. Breathe in slowly and say, I can love without losing myself. I can forgive without reopening the door. I can choose peace without feeling guilty. Let that settle into you. Forgiveness releases your heart from carrying poison. Reconciliation, however, requires honesty, accountability, safety, and consistent change. You can forgive a person and still decide that access to your life must be different. You can wish them healing while accepting that you are not responsible for being the place where they practice hurting people. You can pray for them without returning to the pattern God is leading you out of. Archangel Michael says, do not rebuild the bridge merely because the person who burned it says they miss crossing it. Those words are not an invitation to become cold. They are an invitation to become wise. A guarded heart and a hardened heart are not the same. A hardened heart cannot love. A guarded heart loves with discernment. It knows that trust grows through repeated truth, not dramatic promises. It watches actions. It respects time. It does not hand the key back because someone knocked loudly. In the coming days, you may be given an opportunity to practice this lesson. An old connection may return. A familiar message may appear. Someone may behave warmly after a long period of distance. Do not assume the worst, but do not abandon wisdom either. Pause before responding. Pray before deciding. Ask yourself, has anything truly changed, or has the loneliness simply become uncomfortable? Is this person taking responsibility, or are they trying to escape consequences? Do I feel peace, or do I feel pressure? Pressure says, answer now. Wisdom says, you are allowed to take time. Manipulation says, if you loved me, you would forget. Healing says, if change is real, it can survive accountability. Fear says, this may be your last chance. Faith says, what belongs in my life will not require me to betray the truth. You have spent too many seasons making decisions because you were afraid of being left. Now you are entering a season in which you make decisions based on what produces life, honesty, and peace. This will feel unfamiliar at first. You may even mistake calm for emptiness because chaos has trained your nervous system to expect constant disturbance. Give yourself time. Peace may feel quiet, but quiet does not mean nothing is happening. Quiet soil is where roots grow. God is clearing space around you. That space is not evidence that you are forgotten. It is preparation. New relationships cannot flourish when every chair in your heart is occupied by memories, arguments, and people who only visit when they need something. The empty chair is not a curse. It is a seat being prepared for someone who knows how to stay with respect. This is why Archangel Michael appears in this message as a guardian at the threshold. His sword is not raised to feed your anger. It represents truth cutting through confusion. It separates love from attachment, patience from self-abandonment, and forgiveness from repeated access. The sword of truth does not wound your future. It frees your future from what has been entangling it. You are not losing everyone. You are learning who can meet the healed version of you. Some people only knew how to connect with the version of you who never said no. When you develop boundaries, they may call you difficult. When you stop rescuing them from every consequence, they may call you selfish. When you no longer participate in conversations that tear others down, they may say, "You have changed." They will be correct. You have changed. You are no longer available for agreements that require your spirit to suffer. Do not apologize for healing. The people meant for your next season will not punish you for having standards. They will not compete with your calling. They will not make your progress feel like betrayal. They will carry peace into the room. They will respect your silence, celebrate your growth, and speak honestly when something is wrong. You will not need to decode their affection. Their consistency will answer questions their words never have to create. There is no need for revenge. Revenge keeps an invisible cord tied between you and the person who hurt you. Every hour spent imagining their downfall is another hour their choices occupy your heart. Justice belongs to God. Your responsibility is healing. Let consequences teach what your explanations could not. Let distance reveal what closeness kept hidden. Let peace become your answer. Today, say this prayer with me. God, give me the courage to close every door that keeps confusion alive. Show me where I have confused love with obligation and patience with fear. Help me forgive without returning to harm. Teach me to recognize people by their fruit, not merely by their promises. Remove bitterness from my heart, but leave wisdom in its place. Guard my home, my mind, my purpose, and my decisions. Archangel Michael, stand with me as I choose truth and peace. Amen. If you prayed those words sincerely, do not be surprised if clarity arrives gradually. It may come through a memory you suddenly understand differently. It may come through a conversation that confirms what you sensed. It may come through the relief you feel when you stop reaching for someone. Clarity is not always dramatic. Sometimes it is simply the moment your soul stops arguing with what it already knows. Over the next 7 days, practice 3 sacred pauses. First, pause before saying yes. Ask whether your yes comes from love or fear. If you are afraid someone will reject you for saying no, that is important information. Second, pause before explaining yourself. A boundary does not become more valid because you give a perfect speech. The people who respect you will not require an argument. The people determined to cross the boundary will use every explanation as a doorway to negotiate it. Third, pause before reopening an old connection. Do not make a permanent decision from a temporary wave of loneliness. Missing someone does not automatically mean they belong in your future. Sometimes you miss the hope you attach to them, not the reality they repeatedly gave you. These pauses are not walls against love. They are gates that allow healthy love to enter. And while you are learning to guard your peace, remember to examine your own heart with humility. Discernment is not an excuse to label everyone toxic or interpret every disagreement as betrayal. Healthy relationships still require difficult conversations, patience, apology, and grace. Ask God to reveal where you also need to grow. A boundary protects dignity. Pride avoids accountability. Wisdom knows the difference. You are not being called to isolation. You are being prepared for connection without self-erasure. Heaven is teaching you that safe love can tell the truth and remain kind. It can disagree without becoming cruel. It can give space without using silence as punishment. It can honor both people instead of demanding that one person disappear emotionally so the other can dominate. This is the relationship standard for your new season. Soon, you will notice a change within yourself. A message that once would have ruined your day will no longer control you. A name that once tightened your chest will lose its power. You will hear an old accusation and feel no need to prove your innocence. That is not indifference, that is healing. It is the evidence that another person no longer holds the remote control to your emotions. You will also begin to recognize the right people more quickly. Their presence will not feel like a performance. You will not have to earn basic care. They will ask questions because they want to understand, not because they are gathering information to use later. They will respect the word no. They will make room for your calling. And when mistakes happen, they will repair instead of pretending nothing occurred. Do not rush this season. A protected life is not a lonely life, but it is a carefully built one. Allow trust to develop slowly. Let consistency speak. Watch what happens when you express a need, celebrate a victory, or disagree. Anyone can appear supportive when nothing is required of them. Character becomes visible when love costs patience, humility, or sacrifice. Archangel Michael says, your future is not asking you to become suspicious. It is asking you to become awake. Awake enough to notice patterns. Awake enough to honor peace. Awake enough to stop calling anxiety chemistry and inconsistency excitement. Awake enough to know that being needed is not the same as being loved. Awake enough to walk away without wishing destruction on anyone. Awake enough to bless what was, close the door, and turn toward what God is building. My beloved, your pain did not make you unworthy. Being deceived does not make you foolish. Trusting someone was not your crime. Their misuse of your trust belongs to them. What belongs to you now is the lesson, the wisdom, and the freedom to choose differently. Do not use hindsight as a weapon against your former self. That version of you made decisions with the understanding and hope they had at the time. Thank that version for surviving, then allow them to rest. Your life is not ending because a connection changed. Your story is widening. There are rooms you have not entered, people you have not met, prayers whose answers are already moving toward you, and peaceful mornings that will make you wonder why you once believed chaos was the price of love. The door you close today creates room for those mornings. So release the need for one final conversation. Release the fantasy that the perfect words will force someone to understand. Release the guilt attached to choosing yourself. Release the fear that God cannot replace what you surrender. He does not always replace a person with another person immediately. Sometimes He first replaces confusion with clarity, anxiety with rest, and longing with wholeness. Those are miracles too. If this message has helped you see your season differently, subscribe and remain connected to this community of prayer and encouragement. Share it with someone who needs permission to choose peace without choosing hatred. And in the comments, write, I close the door with love and I walk forward with wisdom. Let it be your declaration of release. Now imagine Archangel Michael standing at the threshold behind you. The old room contains every unanswered question, every broken promise, every night you blamed yourself, and every moment you accepted less because you feared having nothing. You do not need to destroy that room. You do not need to set it on fire. You simply need to step out of it. As you cross the threshold, Michael gently closes the door. There is no anger in the sound. There is completion. Ahead of you is a path lit by the morning sun. You cannot yet see every turn, but you can feel something you have not felt in a long time. Space to breathe. The future is not demanding that you run. It only asks you to take the next honest step. Walk forward without revenge. Walk forward without carrying their voice inside your head. Walk forward knowing that a boundary is not a curse against another person. It is a blessing over the life God entrusted to you. Walk forward knowing you can be soft and strong, loving and wise, forgiving and free. Archangel Michael leaves you with this final message. What you close in wisdom, you do not need to reopen in loneliness. What God removes for your peace, do not chase from fear. Your heart is not a waiting room for people who only return when other doors reject them. Your heart is sacred ground. Tonight, rest. You do not have to solve every relationship before morning. You do not need proof of every hidden motive. Ask only for truth, courage, and peace. What needs to be revealed will become clear in the right time. What needs to leave will lose its grip. What belongs with you will learn how to honor the healed person you are becoming. You are not abandoned. You are not forgotten. You are not being punished by the quiet. You are being restored within it. The door is closing, but your life is opening. And this time, my beloved, you will not walk into your new season carrying yesterday's confusion. You will enter with clear eyes, a peaceful heart, and the sword of wisdom beside you. Heaven is not calling you to fear what is behind you. Heaven is calling you to trust what God is preparing ahead. Choose peace, choose truth, choose the next chapter, and keep walking.